Hello and welcome to another episode on the News Review. I am Vina Peters. The participation of youths in the presidential and gubernatorial elections is crucial for the democratic process and the future of the country. Youth participation in politics has historically been low, with many young people feeling disenfranchised and disengaged from the political process. However, there are some indications that this trend is changing, with more young people becoming interested in politics. The 2023 presidential and gubernatorial election, which took place on the 25th of February and 18th of March respectively, saw youths come out en masse to participate. Today, we will be discussing the youth's participation in the just concluded presidential and gubernatorial elections. With me in the studio is the news editor of UnilagFM, who will be giving us insights of the youth's participation in the just concluded elections. We'll go on a quick break. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you just joined in, is the news review on UnilagTV. Remember to follow us across all social media platforms at Unilag on TV. Like I said earlier before I went on break, we will be talking on the youth participation in the just concluded presidential and gubernatorial elections. And I have Lydia AK, the news editor of Unilag FM. Welcome, Lydia. I'm glad to have you on the show.
It's so great to be here this morning. Good morning.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk about the youth participation in the gubernatorial and presidential election. Please give us an overview of that.
Youth participation. Well, it will be very, very interesting to note that this is one of the best elections that Nigeria has ever had. If you ask me and you say why, because of youth participation. We had many young people who trooped out, especially for the presidential election. Many came out, and they came out to show that the youth plays a very important role in the country like ours. It will interest you to know that Nigeria still remains the most populous black nation on earth, and that from all that we have seen, the Nigerian youth did not just stay back. I remember a few months back when the issue came up about, can the youth really make a difference? And many were like, what can they really do? Just 4 people, or they're tell you 4 tweeting in one room. And this election has come out to show that the youth play a very important role in this, because they came out and first they went to register. And from what I have here, we are being told that according to the report, 70% of the registers that we had for voters, you had 12 million people, and out of the 12 million people, they were youths. Over 42 million young people who registered to vote were students or are students. So it tells you the role the youth played. Now the youth came out to represent the largest demographic with 54 million registered voters. Now, how many of them voted? We're told that over 40% of them came out to vote. So when you look at what happened, especially the presidential election, you will know that the youth did a great job. From the north to the south, to the east, to the west of Nigeria. And if you go online, if you check all the papers, you check the broadcast stations, all that we saw the young people coming out to play a very, very great role. Not just voting, they also stood to defend their votes. Although we saw at the same time the issue of maybe vote buying, ballots, box snatching, the burning of the box, but you also see the young people who came out. They were using their phones to take live sessions to show us what was happening across various polling units. And even tonight, even this morning, I saw the news that came. The youths, some of them went to the US and UK embassy to lodge a complaint that they should still look at this election and see how the youths were disenfranchised. So you find that the youth, they have a voice now. They are speaking. They are not just saying, okay, oh, things will just come and go like that. No, they are now taking they take the PVC as part of their life, and they go to the polls to register their own feeling. This is the way I feel. This is who I want to vote for. You look at this election, you find that we didn't have too many young people who were lured, so to say, who were lured the wrong way. No, you find young people who were decisive, who said, no, this is what I want to do. This is the person I want to vote for. This is where I want my vote to count. So you find they are finding their feet, and they are also courageous. You find young Nigerian youth who are courageous to say, this is what I stand for, and I don't care about what you think or what you feel about it. This is what we see overview for now.
So Nigerian elections are usually affected by low voter turnout and apathy. Now, this raises a whole lot of questions. What do you think?
Low voter turnout. Yeah, you're right. Because of so many factors. Well, we saw some of those factors also playing out in this, especially after the 25th election. Don't forget the presidential election, 25th of February, you had many young people who tripped out. But I noticed, and many of us who were on the field will notice that for the March 18th gubernatorial elections, many of those young people, will I say, didn't really come out because of the same factors that had played out over the years. And what are those factors? You say violence, electoral violence, the rate at which young people were being beaten. Okay, I stood over the polling units close to my house before I left for the office that day. I'm using 18th of March as example now. Okay. And around 10 a.m., I just saw many touts coming to the polling units with long...
What area is this?
This is around Folaguru. Coming with long cane. This is not hearsay. I saw it. And the cane threatening. I was hearing them saying, go to Edo. Wow. Go to Edo. You cannot vote here. If you don't vote a particular party, you cannot vote. I saw it. So I drove out. I had my ID card, my press ID card. I drove out. I got to some polling units. I saw core members just sitting down, relaxing. I said, Auntie, what happened? I said, they didn't come out though. So I tuned my radio to listen to Niger Info. And a young guy was speaking all the way from Satellite Town. He said, where I am now, in fact, they invited him to the studio, to the radio studio. And he was giving, you know, that eyewitness report, which we call citizen journalism. He was just giving his own part of the story. That around Satellite Town, every house is manned by one dog. Yes. They'll ask you, are you from this particular area? Or are you, I don't want to mention names because this is a live session. But we saw what happened. These are the things that encourage voter low turnout or discourage young people from coming out. And then the guy said, my house, they stationed a particular truck there. And they say, okay, you don't want to vote for this party? Don't even come out. If you step out, we'll deal with you. So he said, now wait, that, if I do anything now and I'm wounded or I die, after 3 months, Nigeria goes back to its normal life, then I'll be the loser. So I think I have to stay back, wait to fight another day. And you know what he said? He said, I just told my parents, please, nobody leaves the house. Keep your PVCs, nobody's coming to vote. So these are the factors. These are the factors we've seen over the years. And a little of it played out. Again, what are those factors? Like I said, tribal politics. We saw it. These are the things that really discourage. And if you find the young people of today, they don't really care where you come from.
True.
Yes. They're not crazy about, you come from, if anywhere you come from, are you competent? Do you have what it takes to lead a great nation like ours? Do you have integrity? Are you not corrupt? Do you have the world is now a global village. So when you look around, you see what is happening. Look at a couple of months back, Kenya went to the polls. Look at the way they delivered so beautifully well. They had a lovely session and they are ruling. Yes, they have their pockets of challenges, but the beauty of it is that they got a new person and they didn't have issues that we have now in Nigeria. These are the things discouraging people from coming out. Tribal politics. You are bringing your politics based on tribalism, where you come from. No, young people don't want to hear that. So rather than they argue with you, they just stay back at home. What else? Politics of bigotry. Why? Why are you introducing bigotry to politics? Is that what it is? Maybe those days, things are changing. The young people, they will tell you these things are not really their issues. Now, toxic politics is still the same thing. They are tied around, you bring toxic ethnic profiling. Those things are the things discouraging young people from coming out. And then you also look at the electoral violence, beating them. During the 25th February presidential election, I'm sure you saw the picture or the video of that young woman that was beaten blue-black. They beat her, broke this place, and then she had cuts here. And all because they told her, you cannot vote a particular, I don't want to mention because I don't want to mention the party. You cannot vote this party. You have to vote this particular party. And she said, no, this is what I want to do. And she had cuts. They took her away to treat her. In fact, they had to stitch that place. But the beauty of it, she came back to do what? To vote. So yes, low turnout. But the beauty of it is, these things should not discourage young people. Don't. Let it not discourage young people. Rather, this should be what will propel the young person to say, I want to make a difference. Because now we see the power of the PVC. We see the power of the young people. If you really want to do it, don't get discouraged. Who tells you that, oh, just at a flip you get it? No, you don't just buy. Nothing is given a la carte. They just serve you free of charge. You fight for it. And you don't fight for it by being violent. It's just the same thing. Go to the polls, make a difference. Keep emphasizing, keep saying it, keep doing it. With time, you see all these things we see that are not the right things, they will fade away. Now we're going to look at corruption. Are we going to look at the level of the corruption amongst the political elites? Are we going to look at what the young people are saying, that they don't care about us? They don't factor us into what is going on. Now I'll just come to, maybe we'll go back to that maybe later, the issue of the strike. How long it took, the back, the forth, the incessant, at the end of the day, did they really pay the young people? That's why you find, okay, when it's time to vote, say after voting, what happens? You still go and pick somebody and make the person my leader, and you make me just feel as if I wasted my effort. Oh, so I labored in vain. I think these are all the things we're seeing. But why are we having a session like this? Don't get discouraged. The best is yet to come.
Okay. That's really, really very insightful. So, moving on, we know that youths are technology driven, and they were encouraged by INEC's assurance that electronic apparatus counting will be deployed at the 2023 elections. But unfortunately, we also what happened with the BVAS and an IREV. Do you think this will further drive youths to voter apathy?
It's a two-edged sword. Okay, so I'll say yes. Yes, it's enough to discourage the young people, because they'll say, okay, at the end of the day, you know how long it took for us to get out there, stay in the zone to make sure we're registered. And by the way, this year, this is the 7th consecutive election, looking at the presidential, and we're being told the rate at which the young people came out to register to get their PVCs, we've not seen anything like that before. That's one. The rate at which they even assisted INEC to make sure the PVCs, they needed people, they needed volunteers, they showed up. They just wanted a change, you get. So, and then when INEC came out and said, oh, we tested this with the Ekiti elections, with your Osun, so it's going to be a great success as a national phenomenon. Oh, they were excited. Okay, let's see how it's going to be. So you want to tell me, oh, at the end of the day, you don't just impose somebody on me. What I want is what I get through my PVC. And then they came out at the end of the day, and we are told, oh, the beavers flopped. Oh, we had issues with the IRA. The question many young people are asking is, for the senatorial elections, the House of Rep elections, the beavers, the IRA did not fail. So why did it fail when it came to what? The presidential? And not just, okay, maybe the Southwest, or maybe the Southeast, or maybe the Northwest, or maybe it's just across
board.
No, that's why they think, oh, maybe, are you sure there was no foul play somewhere? Maybe with time, you get to convince the young people by bringing out your point, marshal out your points, and make it count. So for this reason alone, many can be discouraged and say, well, let's forget it. It doesn't really matter. But we want to also say, that's why the media is here. Our own impact is to encourage every young person. Don't draw back. It's not yet to huru. Don't draw back. That this happened, well, there are still many years ahead. If you stay back, what happens? You still allow the same system to still continue to control things. So this should not discourage. Well, first, we need accountability. What happened on that particular day? We need that. Then encourage yourself and still try again. And so you say, did it affect? Yes, it did, because when it was now time for the March 18 elections, you find many young people stayed back, although some still came out. And then the threat to their lives, not just that, the beating, the ballot box snatching, the burning of some ballot boxes, the practical beat. You see this, we were told, yeah, we saw all those things. The police were there and they were beating up some people and nobody could save them. Some even died. We saw the video of the UCOR member who was shot and who later, when they rushed him to the hospital, he lost his life. So these are the things that would discourage young people. But they're sweet. I still have so many years to live. Nigeria wahala is not my ultimate problem. This could just be the attitude, but it should not be. Whatever happens, the thing is, every young person, encourage yourself, try again. You don't fail when you try now and then you fail, then you now go to sleep. No, keep trying. At the end of the day, you'll be surprised at the kind of success you'll record when you have done it well.
All right, you're watching the news review on UnilagTV. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still the news review on UnilagTV, and I still have Lydia AK in the studio. Okay, so before we went on break, you spoke about the technology part with the registration, with the election, and every other thing that went down. But let's come back home. Let's come to universities now. We know that before the election processes took place, students were sent home for them to be able to vote when they get home. But this move was actually counterproductive, as most students actually registered on campus. Now, as a result of that, that is what I call disenfranchisement of those students now. So what do you think about this?
Okay, well, I think at that time it was kind of a helpless situation.
Okay.
Because the students will have to go home. Usually it's a long session. Can you now imagine that between the February 25th elections and the gubernatorial elections, we had to postpone by 1 week.
Exactly.
So imagine how it was if the students were to be in the hostel. So ideally, when directives like this come, you cannot flaunt such instructions, the students have to go home. So where this now comes to play is, the students have to go home. What would they do? You can't help this kind of situation. Maybe next time, maybe next time it will be much more easier to say, thank God we now have a situation where you can always do an exchange in that you can come here and say, okay, my polling unit is Unilag, but I want to do a transfer. I want to transfer to where I will be during the election. For now, they could not help it because, well, I say everything happened very fast. Even if it didn't happen very fast, we had backlog of the ASU strike. They've been at home, and then by the time they resumed, they just had to rush through their books, rush through lectures and the rest of them. Many of them didn't have time, to go back and do a transfer. I'm staying in Unilag, or I'm staying around Akoka, or I'm staying around Abile or Abile. That's where many of the students live. Okay, let me go to the nearest registration point, do a transfer to where I intend to be. That's my hometown, or maybe my parents' place at that time. This all affected this. It affected what happened at these elections. You can't help it because it happened like that, because we had backlog. But going forward, what it would be, if I'm here, since we can do a transfer, you just have to you want to make a difference and you want your vote to count, follow the instructions. Try as much as possible, do a transfer to where you have the nearest polling unit around your house, where you're going to be at that time. It will help it. But with this that has happened, there's nothing we can do about it. It has just happened, and it also kind of affected the students. Many of them were discouraged. I saw many students who I knew should have asked, why didn't you vote? So I can't vote because I had to go home, and then my PVC is with me, but this is where I'm supposed to vote. I'm supposed to be at Unilag, but I stay at Songo, or I have to travel all the way to Bayelsa. So it's happened like that. There's nothing we can do about it.
Let me actually react to this because there's a tweet from a particular student who actually reacted to that particular question. She says she's actually a first timer, and most first timers like her were not so lucky because they registered on campus, but having been sent home, they couldn't vote, and even those who live in the state had their spirit dampened because of the situation of the country, and that led to voter apathy. She also pointed that she expected to spend 3 weeks at home, but spent 1 month instead.
Well, Nigeria is a big country, the most populous black nation on earth, and this is a big event. It's a decisive time for us to come and do this, especially the presidential elections, even before the gubernatorials. So our own little circle will be swallowed up by the bigger circle, you get. So for the fact that you are not able to vote and then you have this experience, what I would say is not the end of the world. It's not yet uhuru, you get. So fine, you are not able to vote because you have to travel back home. It has happened. What is the way forward? So if we dwell so much on this, I didn't vote, my vote didn't count, maybe the next government that will be coming will also look at that. We will have to say, students, if you registered here, you stay back and do this. But they gave the directive of every student should leave the campuses and go home. So maybe these are the things they have to look at. But depending when this is done, it has happened. What do we do to move forward? Next time, maybe you do a transfer early enough. Why we wait for government to do its own part? You get, maybe you do a transfer early enough, okay, this is where I'm going to be by this time. You do a transfer. Many people did it, although we also had itches. INEC could not meet up because of so many factors that were responsible. Some could not even get their PVCs. Some got to their PVC point, they found their names on the INEC portal, but when they get there to pick up their PVC, they could not get their names and their PVCs were not released to them. So many things happen. These things happen over the years, but it is pertinent to say that it is important for the commission now to begin to look, okay, the 4 years is just ahead. You think 4 years is far? It's not far. So these are the points we've made. Young people have stated this. These are the things that didn't go well, or we didn't see it go well in this election. So it behoves the commission whoever will be heading in the next 4 years. How do we correct this
All this.
so that we can have an inclusive session where young people don't feel disenfranchised, where young people don't feel, oh, this thing is done deliberately to seclude me from not being part of this session. See, whether you like it or not, many young people are dissatisfied with what is happening or what has happened over the years. If you watch this election, the way the young people turned out, you will know it's a spillover of the 2020 crisis we had, or that was averted. It should have been more than that. That is the NSAS crisis. You cannot remove it from the history of Nigeria. It's still part of our historical fact that 2020 we had a serious session where young people wanted police brutality to be handled. And if you ask any young person from their own point of view, they felt the matter was not well managed or that it was swept under the carpet. And that's why many of them, that anger was what propelled going to pick the PVCs, saying, no, we are going to express our anger at the polls. And so now, you are not able to vote at the end of the day. What happens? That's why we say, don't let it be the end of the world for you. It has happened. You look at it, look at the way forward, and then we'll make progress.
Okay, it would be nice to keep on asking questions, but we're actually behind time. Let me ask you this last question before we go. How can Nigerian authorities ensure that the voices of young people are heard and their interests are represented in the political process?
Give them a sense of belonging. Yes. Give them a sense of belonging. Listen to the young people. Listen to them. Don't relegate them to the background. They are important as well. Why do I say this? Because it's not just going to be old like that. It's not going to be like that. Time is flying. In 10 years' time, the young lady who is just 20, in 10 years' time will be 30. The 30-year-old young man, in 10 years' time will be 40. And so you don't groom, you just say, oh no, you are not part of the, bring them in. Let's have good political elites who can mentor young people politically, who can push for civil leadership, first by living by example. You don't call, you see, the young people we have are not, you can't just wake up and tell them stories. You just say, they want to see you practicalize it, show it. Oh, you want to talk about integrity? Do you have integrity? You want to talk about competence? Are you competent yourself as a leader? Or you want to talk about, fighting corruption? Are you corrupt? You want to push for a great nation like Nigeria? What is the greatness in you that we can see? And then imbibe and say, oh, that was why, if you see the way the young people tilted towards the presidential election. Okay, let's say we had the first five. I don't want to call their names now. The first five aspirants who wanted to, vote for me. When you see all of them, you find that the young people tilted particularly towards a particular individual. He may not be, so to say, a saint per se, but when they looked at, go and ask them questions, they tell you, when you talk about technology, go and see what the young people tweeted. See what happened on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, and all the social media handles. And when I read through all this, they say, they don't want to listen to us. We'll continue to tweet. We'll continue to say it. So the whole world will be seeing it, not just the government, not just the people who should know. So it tells you that the way to carry the young people is carry them along. Mentor them the right way. Live by example. If things are not right, don't do things that are wrong and you think you can just sweep them under the carpet. Time will tell. Many young people are just not happy. Okay, look at the fuel crisis. Look at the cash crunch. Look at the policies that were released just few weeks or few months to the elections. And then nobody's talking. Apologies. Have you apologized? Have you told us? See, you want to be a leader. Then know that being a leader is not a day's job. Yes, we know on easy lies the head that wear the crown. If you want to be a leader, get ready to lead. Don't come and be giving us flimsy excuses. You blame. Young people don't like blame games. Deliver. Let's see results. It's your result that will speak for you. So that is where Nigeria is going. And I tell you, in few years' time, we're going to see a great Nigeria. We're not giving up.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mrs. Lydia.
Thank you also for
It's
having me.
been a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and that's our show for today. To watch other episodes of the program, do follow us across all our social media platforms at Unilag on TV. I am Vina Peters. Bye for now.